After 2 years of companionship, my boyfriend finally wed me. As we exchanged rings, a cascade of comments unexpectedly illuminated the sky. How could a false white lotus ever compete with the genuine moonlight? It's utterly laughable. Even after marriage, he doesn't touch her. It must infuriate her. A surge of anger welled within me, yet my smile remained radiant as I dashed forward to embrace Qin Xiao. Behind him, Qin Wanwan departed with tears in her eyes. That very night, Qin Xiao vanished without a trace. After 2 years of companionship, my boyfriend finally became my husband. At the moment we exchanged rings, a flurry of comments suddenly appeared in the sky. How could a fake white lotus compare to the true moonlight? Hilarious. Even after marrying, he won't touch her. How infuriating. A fire ignited within me. Yet my face bore a radiant smile as I leapt into the arms of Qin Xiao. Behind him, Qin Wanwan departed with tears in her eyes. That very night, Qin Xiao vanished without a trace. I refrained from causing a scene. His absence brought me a strange sense of tranquility. I had bound myself to a system, and as long as I married the second male lead, my task would be complete. Once this foolish system detached from my being, I would deal with them one by one. Gazing at the comments above, I forced a smile that did not reach my eyes. Moments later, the system informed me. There has been a minor malfunction, but it does not affect us. Complete this task, and we shall be unbound. I nodded in acquiescence. The groom, Qin Xiao, wore an expression of indifference, neglecting my outstretched left hand, resembling a robotic figure frozen in place. The wedding officiant hastily urged, "Please, groom, place the ring on the bride's finger." The officiant's eyes were practically twitching, and only then did Qin Xiao make a move. The act of sliding the ring onto my finger was anything but gentle, leaving my inner finger abraded. Yet I paid it no mind. Then, a whisper of conversation rippled through the crowd. At the end of the red carpet, a slender figure clad in white emerged. The comments above intensified. The female lead has arrived. How exciting. It was as if everyone awaited a grand performance, their gazes fixated upon me. It was common knowledge that Qin Xiao harbored deep affections for his childhood friend. Despite their brother-sister relationship, their bond was closer than that of blood siblings. Everyone assumed they would naturally end up together until the unexpected demise of the heir forced Qin Xiao into a marriage alliance with the Qian family. My hand remained in Qin Xiao's, yet his gaze lingered on Qin Wanwan, unblinking for what felt like an eternity. Look at her, the supporting character. She must be seething inside, I thought. The two exchanged longing glances for a prolonged moment before Qin Wanwan finally released her tightly clenched lips, tears welling in her eyes. "Brother, I arrived late. I wish you a happy wedding." Her voice was soft, as if it could be dispersed by the wind at any moment. Wow! How can he endure this? If you can hold back, Qin Xiao, you're no man. Of course, Qin Xiao could not restrain himself. He abruptly released my hand and turned towards Qin Wanwan. However, before he could take a step forward, he halted in his tracks. In the audience, my father's face darkened as he let out a heavy sigh. My mother wore a similarly displeased expression, and my brother's gaze was fierce, baring his teeth as if ready to pounce. I struggled to maintain my smile and stepped closer, linking my arm with Qin Xiao's. "I shall graciously accept my sister Wanwan's blessing on behalf of Ah Xiao. When it's time to toss the bouquet, I shall ensure you receive a splendid groom." A single tear finally cascaded down Qin Wanwan's cheek, plopping onto the ground. Startled, she hastily wiped her eyes, attempting to force a smile, but to no avail. Ultimately, she could no longer contain herself and fled. Her suppressed sobs were whisked away by the wind. "Wanan!" I clutched him tightly, rooted to the spot. This supporting character is utterly shameless. "Ah Xiao, we still need to obtain our marriage certificate. What I gain today shall be repaid tenfold in the future." That night, Qin Xiao did not return. The night was as cool as water. I sat before the window, gently flipping through the red album. In the photographs, neither of the newlyweds smiled. Their eyes mirrored an unmistakable impatience and disdain. You should be smiling. Although my task was complete, the cooling-off period before detachment would last another month. If the main system detected any discrepancies during the review, all would be in vain. Yet, I found it increasingly difficult to muster a smile. The closer I drew to the day of liberation, the more my emotions spiraled out of control. "Qin Xiao," I murmured softly. I had never imagined we would arrive at such an outcome. I had fallen for him at first sight. He was the defiant young master of the Qin family, while I was the assertive heiress of the Qian family. From our very first encounter, I believed we were destined to be together. I launched an all-out offensive in my pursuit of love. Flowers, shoes, sports cars, anything another suitor presented. I ensured to offer something even better. As the second son, he had no chance of inheriting the family business with an accomplished elder brother above him. I introduced him to clients and talent in his assigned field, provided resources, and shared strategies to reduce costs, effectively equipping him to venture out on his own. He welcomed everything I offered. I always thought he harbored feelings for me as well. Even if he did not voice them, I could tolerate his occasional irritability. Until the day he held a celebration for his company's success and did not invite me. Enraged, I confronted him, only to find him in the garden, adorning another girl with flowers, his eyes filled with a tenderness and affection I had never witnessed before. The girl in white caught sight of me, a fleeting look of discomfort crossing her face. Qin Xiao introduced her. This is my sister, Qin Wanwan, the adopted daughter of the Qin family, Qin Wanwan. I watched as his hand remained firmly on her shoulder, their proximity far too intimate for mere siblings. Qin Wanwan flushed, attempting to push Qin Xiao away. Yet her strength faltered, and she failed to succeed. Instead, it appeared as though she nestled closer into his embrace. I turned and walked away. That night, I deleted all traces of our friendship online, returned the gifts I had purchased for him, and declined every invitation from his company's clients. I was the wolf of the Qian family, not a sycophant, and certainly not foolish. Loving the wrong person was simply a mistake. If one door closed, another would surely open. That night, the system descended upon me. I am the love guidance system, born to assist in matters of the heart. Miss Qian, if you cannot attract the one you desire through self-presentation, why not consider transforming yourself? The day after the wedding, and for an entire week thereafter, Qin Xiao did not return. Daily, photographs of him and Qin Wanwan reveling together circulated wildly online, as if they were the ones on a honeymoon, not me. Qin Xiao did not love me. He always felt that marrying me was a tremendous sacrifice. Thus, he relentlessly sought compensation from elsewhere. Upon hearing yet another scandal about him, my parents wore expressions of displeasure, yet out of consideration for me, refrained from commenting. Sister, do you really have to have feelings for that philandering rogue? My brother Qian too leaned against my legs, his teeth nearly worn down to nubs. My father let out a heavy grunt, setting aside his documents. Your sister is perfect in every way, she just has poor taste in men. He attempted to continue, but my mother shot him a look that silenced him. She took my hand and placed it on her lap. Wanwan, whatever decision you make, your parents will support you. Just remember, if you ever feel wronged, do not hesitate to lean on us. You are our treasure. No matter what happens, we shall face it together. My mother's palm was warm, comforting enough to bring tears to my eyes. Host, the system sensed the turmoil within me and reminded me. I knew what words to say at that moment. They would be nothing more than, Qin Xiao is not a philandering rogue, Qin Wanwan is merely his sister, and I'm perfectly fine. Only to break down and curse after they left. But I was weary. I buried myself in my mother's embrace. Her eyes reflected concern and melancholy. They never believed Qin Xiao was a suitable match for me. Yet, even so, they complied with my wishes, preparing everything for me. I did not allow them to disturb Qin Xiao, and so they refrained. I did not permit them to confront the Qin family, and they withdrew from related business ventures. I declared that I would handle everything, and they trusted me completely. This is my family. Yet, I was compelled to burden them with worry. It will be soon. My voice was soft, barely discernible to anyone nearby. Nestled in my mother's embrace, I savored the hard-won tranquility, while my younger brother offered me grapes, gently peeling them and presenting them to my lips. The days of trepidation would not last much longer. Dad, Mom, Tutu, let us embark on a vacation to the island together next month. Only 21 days remained. On the night the system manifested, it presented its so-called transformation plan. I immediately discerned that the system's notion of self-improvement was to adopt Qin Wanwan's persona, to feign the innocence of a delicate flower. I was starkly different from Qin Wanwan. I did not relish weakness. If I could not win his affection as my authentic self, why should I force it? I was not dependent on him. I harbored my own pride. Host, how can you not harbor feelings for Qin Xiao? This is your fate, if you change sooner. You wouldn't have to endure so much suffering. At that time, I was oblivious to the true meaning of the system. After enduring a week of my scorn, it fell silent. 6 months later, when Qin Zhao's company encountered difficulties, the once supportive hands that had paved the way for him retracted, fully aware that our relationship had irrevocably changed. That day, Qin Zhao visited the company, his lips pressed together, seething with anger yet remaining mute, akin to a wild dog, accustomed to being fed, that would not let go of its prey. After what felt like an eternity, he finally spoke. "What do you mean? Am I merely a pet to you, to be cast aside once you tire of me?" It was as if I had coerced him into accepting those gifts. I yearned to mock him, to retort, "Qin Zhao, I am not your mother, here to teach you to walk or carry you along." Yet, the words lodged in my throat as the system's standard response flashed before my eyes. It read, "I seek nothing more than your assurance that you do not love Qin Wanwan, but love me. Say this, host, if you deviate from the script, you will face electric punishment." It was not a love guidance system, it was a plot preservation system. To prevent the so-called narrative from straying from its course, it sought to interfere with my destiny. Deceiving me was merely a tactic of its coercive strategy. But why should I comply? I remained silent for a moment, and the system's voice echoed softly, "Why engage in such stubbornness?" I resolutely refused. When Qin Zhao and Qin Wan'an returned, only 2 weeks remained of the cooling-off period. Had it not been for the troubles at Qin Corporation, they might not have returned at all. How unfortunate it was to disrupt my rare moment of peace. Clad in my favorite red, I stood on the staircase, observing their intimate exchange as if in a world of my own. Tap, tap, my nails lightly struck the railing. Qin Zhao glanced up, momentarily captivated by my appearance, rendered speechless. "Brother?" Qin Zhao's abrupt stillness piqued Qin Wanwan's curiosity, prompting her to turn back. Her eyes widened slightly, her lips forming a tight line before she forced a smile. "Sister Xingyao, it has been a while since I have seen you dressed like this." Her tone was gentle, yet her words were laced with daggers. "Indeed, those with a larger frame, like you, should stick to more muted colors. Isn't that right, Brother Xiao?" The naive and foolish little flower remained blissfully unaware of the storm that awaited her upon her return. For the first time, Qin Xiao did not immediately respond. Qin Wanwan's eyes glistened with unshed tears. What is wrong with the second male lead? Can't he see Wanwan's eyes are red? His gaze is fixated on the supporting female lead, as if she is far more appealing than the one in white. How captivating. To be enamored by the visage of the villainous young lady. Upstairs, can we maintain a sense of morality? Let us not forget what the supporting character has done to the protagonist. Qin Xiao regained his composure, his demeanor softening. "I will come to find you tomorrow morning. Ensure you rest well tonight." Qin Wanwan's face lit up with joy, her eyes betraying a hint of defiance. "Sister Xiangyao, I apologize. I will need to borrow my brother again tomorrow." Why does it feel as if Wanwan is being a bit too cheeky? Shouldn't one be magnanimous in the face of a mistress? Must we provoke others? Oh, how delightful it is to watch. Once Qin Wanwan departed, Qin Xiao strode purposefully towards me. Towering over me, with sharp brows and eyes, his facial contours lacking in softness, he descended upon me from the same step, exuding an overwhelming aura. Your tactics to undermine Qin Corporation and bring me back remain unchanged, utterly repugnant. In truth, the troubles at Qin Corporation had nothing to do with me, yet it mattered not, as long as there were issues. Qin Xiao would always find a way to blame me, expecting me to feel guilt-ridden and resolve everything for him. I pressed my finger against his chest, inching him backward until he suddenly grasped my shoulders. Our faces were mere inches apart, our breaths mingling. As I braced my palm against his chest, tilting my head to meet his gaze, a fleeting thought crossed my mind. Why does it suddenly feel so charged? The scent of cologne enveloped me, and for reasons unknown, tears threatened to spill. I stifled the burning sensation in my eyes, my voice trembling. You know what I desire, do you not? I craved respect. As the daughter of the Qian family, having married me, you need not wear that perpetual expression of condescension. I longed for freedom. By constantly associating with Qin Wan'an, what becomes of my dignity? I wished to be unencumbered. Qin Xiao, do not forget, it was you who first proposed being with me. I sought to be myself. Qin Xiao stared intently at my face, and in that moment, he was transported back to that summer night with Qian Xiangyao. As she lay on the couch in the banquet lounge, pale and red-eyed due to her own turmoil. Like a siren, She tempted him to make a commitment to her. His grip inadvertently slackened. Even if I were to spend every day with you, my heart would never belong to you. Set things right. He released me and hurried up the stairs, his footsteps echoing with an uncharacteristic urgency. I collapsed on the staircase. The supporting character is utterly disgusting. Why does she not just disappear? Isn't it the male lead Hee-Tian who is responsible for the troubles at the Qin family? Why must the supporting character be the one to fix it? Upstairs, this is a form of atonement. Who told her to meddle in Wanwan's relationship with the second male lead? As Qin Xiao departed, the barrage of comments gradually faded. Host, you performed admirably. Go away. I hurled my high heel in frustration, yet it failed to hit anything. Tears streamed down my face, and no amount of wiping could suffice. I despise you, system. I loathe all of you. My confrontation with Qin Xiao culminated in me losing consciousness from the electric shock. I endured the agony of the shocks, my eyes brimming with tears, unable to muster the strength to demand that Qin Xiao leave. Perhaps I had frightened him. He did not appear before me for many days thereafter. I had not anticipated that this system possessed the ability to influence reality. I attempted every conceivable method to escape its grasp. I fled abroad, hiring an entire security team to eliminate every possible connection to Qin Xiao from my life. Yet, it proved futile. As long as he lived, as long as he continued to generate plot, the system's commands would manifest. If I defied it, I would face electric punishment. When Qin Zhao's company struggled, and I refused to assist, he was cast out by his father. When I did not console him, it happened once, twice, thrice, countless times. The doctors hesitated, my parents wore expressions of worry, and my brother was on the brink of madness. Qin Xiao was my calamity. Why struggle so? Simply conform to the narrative, and you shall not suffer. Look at your family. Can you bear to see them so distressed? A monster is a monster. If you have the power, just electrocute me. It has deceived me once, and I shall not trust it again. It resorts to unscrupulous means to compel me to heed its words. Can it truly be for my benefit? Yet, as I gaze upon the worried faces of my family, I realize I can no longer evade my responsibilities. Since evasion proves futile, I must not remain ensnared in this predicament. Gritting my teeth and enduring, I shall strive to maintain a semblance of normalcy in my life. I swiftly resumed the demeanor of a refined young lady, restoring my cheerfulness and smile. As the shocks continued, I gradually grew accustomed to them. Although painful, I would no longer succumb to fainting spells. My parents and younger brother visibly breathed a sigh of relief, and life returned to a harmonious state. Until a few months later, at a banquet. That was my final act of defiance against the system's electric shocks. The countdown to freedom stood at 7 days. As I descended the stairs, I unexpectedly spotted Qin Xiao in the living room. For reasons unknown, he had not left his room in days, nor sought out Qin Wanwan. It appeared that the Qin family's primary business had encountered difficulties, instilling in him a rare sense of urgency. I languidly took my seat, embodying the role of a devoted wife genuinely concerned for her husband. The issues your family faces have been resolved. It's merely a small company vying for business. So do not dwell on it too much. The He family's business intersects with that of the Qin family, but their foundation is insufficient. If I exert my utmost, engaging in a price war is not beyond the realm of possibility. However, it won't be long before Hee-Tian receives assistance from a benefactor, and the strategy of undercutting prices could ultimately collapse the Qin family. I have no need to confront a business prodigy through such vicious competition for the sake of the Qin family. I merely need to endure this period. Qin Xiao offered a low acknowledgement, though I could not discern whether he was truly listening. His phone emitted a notification sound indicating a special alert. Yet, instead of checking it immediately, he turned his gaze toward me. I raised an eyebrow in confusion. Is Qin Wanwan seeking you for something? While the barrage of comments primarily consisted of romantic entanglements and insults directed at me, there were always one or two messages worth noting. For instance, yesterday, Wanwan had a fierce argument with the male lead, Hee-Tian. Surely the second male lead must go see her now. Qin Xiao fixed his gaze upon me, as if attempting to decipher the emotions concealed upon my face, before finally speaking after a moment. Now that it's just the two of us, there's no need for pretense. Pretense? Did he think I was still pretending to be magnanimous? How amusing. Considering he was the one who previously instructed me to be generous. Qin Xiao, rest assured, I am not that petty of a woman. Just as you once told me. I have everything now, including you. I averted my head, covering my mouth with my hand, fearful I might retch. If you wish to seek her out, then do so. Do not concern yourself with me. Retreating to advance, has the female antagonist finally regained her wits? Qin Xiao seemed to recall his previous words to me, momentarily vexed. His phone buzzed incessantly. His grip alternated between loose and tight, tightening again before he glanced back at me, his eyes carrying both reminiscence and melancholy. Perhaps I still prefer the you from the beginning. The door slammed shut with a resounding bang. I felt nauseous and could not eat throughout the day. By dusk, I received a message containing a photograph. Beneath the wisteria, Qin Wanwan stood with her back to the camera, entwining her arms around a man's neck, tilting her head for a kiss. The man's face remained obscured, but his left hand bore a familiar wedding ring. I waited for a moment, yet no comments appeared. I raised an eyebrow. Something had transpired, deviating from the original plot. I distinctly remembered that banquet. A political heavyweight was orchestrating events to promote a protege, and each prominent family was obliged to show a degree of respect. The social circle in S City was small, filled with familiar faces. Among the crowd, I immediately spotted Qin Xiao. He held a wine glass, exuding a suave demeanor, though his fingers were pale from gripping it too tightly. Across from him, clad in a white dress, Qin Wanwan clung to a man's arm, laughing sweetly as she conversed with him. He Tian, the rising star of the business world. I nearly laughed aloud. A person who treats others as mere backups is himself a backup to someone else. Qin Xiao noticed me, and a glimmer of surprise flickered in his eyes. Today, I donned a crimson ensemble, a long red dress complemented by a red diamond necklace, enhancing my complexion. Upon seeing his gaze, I took my brother Qian-tu by the arm and turned to leave. To my astonishment, in the latter half of the banquet, Qin Wanwan fell into the water, and Qin Xiao rushed to question me. Surveillance footage revealed that both Qin Wanwan and I had walked past the artificial bridge, yet I was the only one who returned. Qian Xiangyao, I never imagined your intentions could be so venomous. Even if you like me, you should not harm others. How old are you that you can still fall into a lake while walking? Such a clumsy act, I could only revel in my misfortune. I turned to leave, but he firmly grasped my wrist. Apologized to Wanwan. Just then, my brother returned from the restroom. Seeing me being bullied, he immediately struck Qin Xiao with a punch. What do you want with my sister? Qin Xiao, momentarily caught off guard, was knocked to the ground, spitting blood as he staggered to his feet. He Tian, attracted by the commotion, attempted to intervene but was met with indiscriminate retaliation from my brother. I advise you not to meddle in our family affairs. Don't think that just because you resemble Qin Cheng in looks and temperament, you can belong to the Qin family. Qin Cheng, the eldest son of the Qin family, the deceased heir of the Qin estate. He Tian was momentarily stunned. The system's command arrived just in time. Please, host, assist Qin Xiao. I refused. Let the shocks continue. I have endured them before. My brother, having trained in martial arts since childhood, would not be at a disadvantage in a fight. One electric shock in exchange for a grand spectacle was worth it. Yet today's system was relentless. Please, host, assist Qin Xiao. Please, host, assist Qin Xiao. Please, host, assist Qin Xiao. The commands flashed incessantly before my eyes, and the shocks intensified with each repetition. I stumbled, my fingers digging painfully into my palm. Excuse me. I hastily departed, my brother quickly following suit. I collapsed in the lounge. My brother, with reddened eyes, called for a doctor. He clutched my hand tightly, his voice tinged with a sob. He was unaware of the issues plaguing me. He only knew that every time I fell ill, it was connected to Qin Xiao. He felt compelled to link these seemingly unrelated matters. I will never hit Qin Xiao again. You can like him as much as you want. I want to even scold him, all right? Just don't scare me. You're my only sister. The doctor came and went, and Qian-tu's face twisted in my vision. I hazily saw scenes flickering before my eyes. My brother standing up for me, my father issuing a ban, my mother conversing with Qin Xiao. Suddenly, one day, the funding chain broke. A man resembling my father jumped from the rooftop. A beautiful woman lay in a hospital bed. A red figure plunged into the depths of the sea, and a boy was crippled and reduced to begging. This was the plot. It was my inescapable fate. In my days, I seemed to hear the system emit a sigh. I was never one to be easily manipulated. I was not then. Nor would I be in the future. Due to my and my brother's departure, I inadvertently assisted Qin Xiao. The shock ceased after only half an hour. I lay on the lounge sofa, my face pale and drenched in sweat, unable to recover from the unsettling images I had just witnessed. My brother went to fetch me a change of clothes, leaving the vast room empty except for me. What was that just now? Didn't he, the host, figure it out? I felt utterly drained. An overwhelming urge to cry surged within me. Only now did I comprehend the true nature of my struggle. Indeed, that is correct, host. But do not worry, I am here to assist you. I am the plot rescue system, here to alter the fates of the characters within the narrative. As long as you heed my words, those calamities shall be averted. You liar, I retorted. Your intentions are not for my benefit. If you truly cared for me, you would not subject me to this torment. Despite rendering the system speechless, a tide of helplessness and dread enveloped me. Clutching myself in confusion, I was uncertain of my next steps. At that moment, the door to the lounge swung open, and a staggering figure entered. It was Qin Xiao. He appeared to be inebriated, a few strands of hair falling across his forehead, his steps unsteady. Seemingly unaware of my presence as he collapsed onto the sofa where I lay. The mingling scent of alcohol and a faint, cool fragrance enveloped me, momentarily disorienting me and evoking memories of my unreserved love for this man. Wan, he murmured. Summoning the last vestiges of my strength, I kicked him off. His forehead struck the ground, abruptly jolting him awake. Qin Xiao propped himself up, rubbing his head, and his gaze fell upon the woman who had fervently pursued him only to quietly relinquish her aspirations, now curled up on the sofa with a blanket. Bathed in the warm yellow light, her striking features appeared soft and harmless. Her hair was disheveled, her lips and face pale, and her eyes reddened, rendering her a rare vision of fragility. Yet her eyes shone dark and bright, reminiscent of the timid yet resilient Wan he had first encountered at the Qin household. Seeing Qian Xiangyao in such a state pierced Qin Zhao's heart unexpectedly. He had not anticipated that a casual remark would wound her so deeply. She must have loved him fiercely, just as he loved Wan. Yet Wan harbored affection for her elder brother, and after his demise, she had found solace in the arms of the similar Hitian. Wan, gazing into those equally dark and bright eyes, his heart ached to the point of suffocation. There was no way for him to make Qin Wan fall in love with him. He was her brother, and he could not, nor would not, harm his sister. Given this, he resolved to let go, paving a path for her instead. Qin Xiao staggered to his knees, gently brushing his fingers across Qian Xiangyao's pale cheek. Qian Xiangyao, do you like me? I can be with you. He leaned closer, planting a soft kiss on her forehead. I do not favor assertive women. White looks splendid on you. Wear it for me next time. My rage was nearing an inferno. The futility of resisting the plot, the humiliation of being insulted, and the terror surrounding my family's fate intertwined, ultimately morphing into fury. Please, host, comply with Qin Zhao's request. Visions of my family's demise flashed before my eyes, and my mind raced with unprecedented clarity. Qin Xiao. Everything the system urged me to do was for Qin Xiao. To defend him, to avert calamity, to extricate him from peril, all centered around Qin Xiao. Thus, would it not be true that if Qin Xiao perished, all those so-called defenses, censorships, and bankruptcies would cease to exist? One Qin Xiao was not enough. There was also Qin Wan. Warning. Host, please refrain from engaging in dangerous behavior. Then shock me. If it does not kill me, I will drag them down to hell with me. I roared inwardly. If our family was doomed to an ill fate, they should not expect to survive either. The agony of the electric shock enveloped my entire being the next moment. I struggled to rise, shattering a cup meant for hot water, seizing the shards to press against Qin Yao's neck. He was caught off guard as I held him down, blood gushing from my hand. The loss of blood robbed him of the strength to break free. Gradually, he ceased to move. Suddenly, the scene flickered like a snowflake screen, and a piercing noise erupted. Warning. The plot has deviated severely. Commencing point retrieval, point balance sufficient, entering mandatory rescue process. Plot reverting. I weakly opened my eyes once more, finding Qin Xiao gently pressing his lips to my forehead. Please, host, do not engage in dangerous behavior again. Come on. Let us see how many times you can recover. I reached for the cup. Madwoman. The system faltered. That last bout had drained its points entirely. Should I attempt again? Not only would this dimension attract the main system's attention, but it would also face annihilation. Stop. I can sever our bond. Let us converse amicably. Tonight at 8 p.m. marks the day for severing our connection with the system. I could hardly contain my eagerness to return to my ordinary life. After dining with business partners, I encountered Hee-Tion at the elevator. What is the male lead doing here? The plot had accelerated unnaturally over the past few days. The female lead and the second male lead were still. Hee-Tion was in a rush. Before I could fully comprehend the barrage of comments, he had vanished around the corner. Reflecting on the plot divergence from a week prior, unease crept over me. The system had once informed me that the main system dispatched numerous systems to various dimensions to bind awakeners, ensuring all worlds progressed along predetermined trajectories. The system served as its eyes and tendrils. Should the plot veer irreparably, that world would be forsaken, consumed by the main system. It had reached an accord with me. As long as I did not err at critical plot points, it could apply for detachment from me. Upon approval, the system would withdraw, and the main system would no longer monitor this world. Even if discovered later, it would be unable to redistribute the system due to the dimension's capacity being maxed out. That was why I had agreed to be with Qin Xiao that night, and why I had deviated from my nature to adopt Qin Wanwan's style to win Qin Xiao's favor. I had been willing to grant Qin Xiao whatever he desired. With only an hour remaining until the severance, what could possibly be amiss? I summoned the manager. He hesitated before revealing that Qin Wanwan and Qin Xiao had arrived earlier that afternoon and had yet to leave. Hee-Tion was there to catch them in the act. I urged the manager to find a way to block Hee-Tion's path while I hurried through the staff passage to the top floor. 1 hour, I could not allow the plot to collapse. The penthouse suite was connected to a pool and an expansive garden. Through the corridor's glass, I could see two figures entwined together. I quickly sought a hiding spot, terrified that the barrage of comments would expose me and draw me into the runaway plot. The surroundings were eerily quiet, and I could faintly discern lewd sounds emanating from the garden. Brother Xiao, you are so amazing. You are so wicked. You only treat Wanwan like this. If it were Sister Xiangyao, wouldn't she devour you? What time was it? And they still had to reference me. The system was anxious as well, utilizing its remaining points to check the real-time plot. In the original plot, the second male lead did not sleep with the female lead. The issue lies with the female lead. 1 month ago, on the day of your wedding, Qin Wanwan and Hee-Tion confirmed their feelings for each other and officially became lovers. Everything was on track. However, the data indicated that 2 weeks prior, Qin Wanwan's interest in Qin Xiao had surged, even leading to 2 conflicts with Hee-Tion. But currently, the deviation does not appear significant. As long as we remain undetected before detachment, we shall be fine. Miss Qian, what are you doing here? I turned to see Hee-Tion. Disheveled after facing 2 dead ends, 3 elevator malfunctions, and countless security and cleaning staff blocking his way. Behind him trailed a panting manager and security personnel. There were only 10 minutes remaining until the system's severance. Hee-Tion's barrage was flying by rapidly. What is the female supporting character doing here? This plot is thrilling. Is the female supporting character here to catch someone in the act? Please refrain from using such vulgar terminology. If we must use it, then so be it. After all, the female supporting character is the wife of the second male lead. Is this not an affair? Has the author lost their mind? Writing the female lead as a mistress? Long have I harbored a disdain for Qin Wanwan. Only you deluded fans would believe she isn't a mistress before having shared a bed. Who are you calling delusional? Mr. He, it's been quite some time. I stepped forward, extending my hand, subtly distancing myself from the window. Hee-Tion instinctively shook my hand. It has indeed been a while, Miss Qian. His gaze flickered toward the door, brimming with suspicion. This afternoon, after returning home from a meeting, he unexpectedly stumbled upon several photos of Wanwan and her brother on his computer. This computer was typically used by Wanwan. Had he not whimsically decided to organize their dating photos in preparation for her birthday, he would not have opened it. He recalled the butler's hesitance in mentioning his doubts about Wanwan's relationship with her brother. Initially, he dismissed it, knowing that Wanwan and her brother shared a close bond, albeit one confined to sibling affection. Yet, the intimacy displayed in those photos ignited his suspicions. He contacted Wanwan's driver and learned that she had not gone to the office today, but had instead arrived at this hotel. As he hurried over, his mind buzzed with apprehension, and the journey was fraught with obstacles. Reflecting on Wanwan's recent behavior, his fears intensified, leading him to question the veracity of his concerns. However, upon reaching the top floor, he discovered that Qian's heiress was also present. Qian Xiangyao, his impression of her remained rooted in the grandeur of her wedding a month prior. He had heard business associates describe her as audacious and assertive, someone who would not suffer a slight. A reliable partner in business, yet a formidable adversary. This realization cast doubt on the origins of those photographs, which seemed too ambiguous, as if someone had ulterior motives. How could such an unyielding woman tolerate her husband's indiscretions? He adjusted his clothing, his heart racing back to a steadied pace. Miss Qian, what brings you here? My mind raced. There's a new restaurant design at the resort, and this hotel's top floor design has won awards. I came to gather inspiration. A rather feeble excuse. Yet I merely needed to stall for 10 minutes. You're here to gather inspiration in the evening? Miss Tian, you truly possess an eye for elegance. The manager lingered nearby, caught in our awkward banter, uncertain how to proceed. I noticed Tian's gaze repeatedly darting to the door, silently signaling the manager to block it. The manager, understanding, gathered a group and stationed them at the entrance like sentinels. Tian. Just then, my phone rang. Qian too was calling. Sister, where have you gone? I just went to the restroom. Why have you disappeared? I had been with my brother earlier. Hurriedly leaving without informing him. No, what does the female antagonist mean by this? Could she have discovered something? Surely not. If she had, given her temperament, she would have already caused a scene. What does her blocking the door signify? Perhaps it is not a blockade, but rather a ceremonial welcome for the young lady descending the stairs? I allowed the conjectures to swirl, feigning interest in the ceiling, walls, and floor tiles. Several times, Tian attempted to enter the room, only to be thwarted by the manager, who was about to speak when I deftly diverted the conversation. Just as Tian seemed on the verge of exploding, the system initiated the countdown for disconnection. System unbinding procedure initiating. Submitting for review. At that moment, the door creaked open, revealing Qin Xiao and Qin Wanwan emerging together. Damn, that was too swift. As the door opened, I rushed over, pulling Tian aside to face the wall. Mr. He, take a look at this garden. It connects seamlessly with the entire room, a rather splendid design. I believe the new hotel could adopt such a bold concept. Tian attempted to turn back, but I held him firmly in place. What do you think? The comments flooded in, nearly overwhelming. How could they not notice? I thought, observing the pallor on Qin Xiao and Qin Wanwan's faces. The posture of the female antagonist and the male lead was undeniably peculiar. To prevent Tian from turning around, I cupped his face with my hands, directing him toward the window. Night had fallen, and the outside world was cloaked in darkness. To my surprise, Qin Xiao charged forward, forcefully separating me from Tian. What is your relationship with him? A relationship of eavesdropping and betrayal. I did not expect you to be such a promiscuous woman. Tian was caught off guard and stumbled aside, dizzy. Behind Qin Xiao, Qin Wanwan retreated into the room. The comments above them began to dissolve into a haze. 10, 9, 8. Qin Xiao glared at Tian, his face flushed with rage. I felt a surge of frustration and, adhering to the narrative, I allowed Qin Xiao to strike Tian while ensuring their affair remained undiscovered. Qin Xiao, let me explain. I am not here with Mr. He. I truly did not come to book a room. Qin Xiao's face was a tumultuous blend of colors, resembling a palette gone awry. As Tian attempted to rise and clarify, another punch from Qin Xiao sent him crashing to the ground. Instantly, they were embroiled in a scuffle. The nearby manager could only exclaim in surprise. 3, 2, 1. Unbinding complete. System disengaging. Host, I will definitely. The system's voice faded into a jumble of incoherent sounds. The comments above the protagonists vanished. I continued to stoke the flames. Stop fighting already. Tian, overwhelmed, was seeing stars. Qin Xiao finally remembered my presence, the wayward peach against the wall. Qian Xiangyao, you are mine. You can only be mine. He desperately sought evidence of infidelity upon me. You bastard. What have you done to my sister? At that critical moment, Qian too arrived. He had come from the elevator, taking a long route to find me at the stairwell. Upon seeing me, he immediately recognized the nefarious intentions of his so-called brother-in-law. His fists clenched, ready to act. Yet fearing for his sister's well-being, he hesitated to strike. Beat him up, I commanded loudly. Huh? My brother looked perplexed, still processing the situation. As his foot obediently connected with Qin Zhao's side, Qin Zhao was sent flying 3 meters, crashing back against the door. The tides of battle had shifted. He Tian shakily rose, still bewildered by the chaos that had ensued. In a daze, he recalled that he had come to catch someone in the act. Qin Wanwan stood pale at the doorway, draped in Qin Zhao's coat, her exposed neckline revealing lingering red marks. Wanwan, He Tian's heart shattered. He had approached matters of the heart with utmost caution, spending 4 years with Qin Wanwan before confirming his feelings. In his youth, he had been deceived by a girlfriend. Left to fend for himself with his grandmother in the countryside after being abandoned by his father. Had it not been for that woman who swindled him of his money, leaving him unable to afford medical care for his grandmother, he would not have desperately sought a return to the He family, battling against the trials imposed by his stepmother and father's indifference. He had believed Wanwan to be different, innocent, naive, kind-hearted, equally invested in their relationship and devoted to him. Yet now, merely a month into their commitment, Qin Wanwan was entangled with Qin Zhao. Had all their cherished moments been a facade? He Tian abhorred the manipulation of emotions. While He Tian was still lamenting, I was already filled with vigor. I pointed inward and declared, "Search for evidence. A reward of 5 million for what you find." Instantly, a throng of individuals rushed towards the moaning Qin Zhao on the ground. I took out my phone and fervently captured images of the treacherous couple sprawled at the entrance. The cunning manager, ever the sycophant, chimed in, "Miss Qian, I have surveillance footage here. Perhaps it could be considered evidence? Extract all of it for me, and you shall be rewarded," I said, my spirits soaring as I waved my hand grandly. The manager could hardly contain his delight. Qian, too, having instinctively obeyed the command to strike, realized too late the potential consequences. He spun around, fearful that I might inadvertently faint again. How could that scoundrel Qin Zhao betray his love? His sister, who loved him dearly, must be devastated. To his astonishment, when he turned back, his sister appeared to be in remarkably good spirits, as if she had been liberated from the Five-Finger Mountain like Sun Wukong. "Sister, are you all right?" Qian, too, had not seen her so spirited in ages, and feared it was merely a fleeting moment of vitality. "I am more than well. Quickly, call the housekeeper and instruct him to immediately discard everything related to Qin Zhao, and withdraw all investments in the Qin family's businesses. Contact a lawyer and draft a divorce agreement." "Ha, I am finally free." Was his sister no longer fond of Qin Zhao? Qian, too, was overwhelmed with joy. Yet some disbelief lingered. He inadvertently brushed against Qin Zhao's finger again. The scandal of the affair was quelled, creating minimal ripples. After all, I was the heir of the Qian family. The fewer who knew of this disgrace, the better. With Qin Zhao cast out, Qin Wanwan also severed ties with He Tian. I took my parents and Qian, too, to an island for a month of revelry, then traveled the globe for business, thoroughly engrossed in my pursuits. The revelation of Qin Wanwan's infidelity dealt a significant blow to He Tian, leading him to drown his sorrows and drink night after night, which began to affect his career. The business world is akin to a battlefield, and I had no intention of showing mercy. It was only when the He family faced severe repercussions that He Tian emerged from the shadows, gritting his teeth to confront me, his formidable adversary. This was more like it. The last time I saw Qin Zhao was on the day the Qin family declared bankruptcy. That day, he ambushed me in the parking lot as I finished work, and the security guard, caught off guard, failed to notice him blocking my way. "Qian Xiangyao, come out," he demanded. His appearance was haggard, hair greasy, with a stubbly jawline and wrinkled clothes, dust clinging to him from an unknown source. Following the discovery of his affair with Qin Wanwan, the ensuing divorce and withdrawal of funds had plunged the Qin family into a crisis of severed financial ties. Upon learning of this, the head of the Qin family, infuriated, immediately arranged for Qin Wanwan to be sent abroad, hoping to devise a means to win back Qian Xiangyao's affection. Qin Wanwan, unwilling to leave, understood that once she stepped outside, there would be no return. She would be isolated and vulnerable, with no one to care for her survival. "Brother Xiao, help me think of a way. I don't want to leave you," she pleaded. Qin Xiao did not soothe her as he had in the past. How had it come to this? Qian Xiangyao loved him so deeply. How could she so easily declare a divorce and profess a lack of affection? He could not fathom it. And despite numerous attempts to seek her out at the Qian residence, he was always turned away. The panic of being discovered in his infidelity gradually morphed into anger. He recalled a time years ago when Qian, the young lady, had tired of the game of love and discarded him without a second thought. Qin Wanwan wept incessantly, driving him to distraction. This woman had always relied on her looks and materialism, yet in critical moments, she could not muster a single sound judgment. Brother Xiao, I don't want to leave you, I love you the most. Please let me stay by your side. She sobbed. Deceit. Qin Xiao was acutely aware of the truth. Qin Wanwan's true affections lay with his elder brother, Qin Cheng. He had always felt overshadowed by his brother in every aspect: appearance, intellect, ability, parental affection, and inheritance rights. Yet, with Qin Cheng's untimely death, he felt a perverse sense of relief. Had Qin Cheng lived, he would still be the second young master forever in his shadow. Even now, Qin Wanwan, who had once chased after Qin Cheng, had turned her gaze to him only after his brother's passing. Seeking solace in a substitute who bore a striking resemblance to Qin Cheng, He Tian. As Qin Wanwan continued to weep, she grasped desperately for something to provide her with security, never considering standing on her own. When reliant on others, she had aimed to seize Qin Cheng, aspiring to become the matriarch of the Qin family. After Qin Cheng's demise, she had little faith in Qin Xiao, instead yearning to latch onto the rising business star, He Tian. Yet, Qin Zhao's lingering concern for her made it difficult to relinquish the tangible benefits she had in hand, leaving her teetering on a tightrope, all the while oblivious to her own faults. It was all Qian Xiangyao's fault if she had not pressured Qin Xiao into marriage. If he had not begun to care for Qian Xiangyao after their union, she would not have feared losing him, nor would she have chosen to share his bed. It's all Qian Xiangyao's fault, sob, it's all her fault. Qin Xiao could no longer bear to listen. With a swift motion, he slapped Qin Wanwan to the ground. Don't think for a moment that I am unaware. You wretched woman, if it weren't for you, how could the Qin family have sunk to this level? If you hadn't dangled yourself before He Tian to tempt me, I would never have strayed. If you hadn't led He Tian to uncover the truth, how would I have been exposed? You only sought to cling to me after your brother's death. It is because of you that my life has been ruined. Our family should never have taken you in. Indeed, it was all Qin Wanwan's fault. It was she who had driven him to make mistakes. Qian Xiangyao loved him so fiercely. She had fallen for him at first sight while he was still overshadowed by his brother. Despite receiving a modest allowance each month, it paled in comparison to his brother's status as the heir. Luxurious cars and opulent goods were beyond his reach, as his father would never grant him the privilege of purchasing items that could not yield profit. But Qian Xiangyao could, for she, despite being a woman, was the heir of the Qian family. She pursued him and generously provided him with everything he had only ever dreamed of: luxury cars, antiques, exquisite watches, even gifting him stars, arranging matches for him with his favorite teams, and hiring renowned bands to perform live for him. She even personally designed jewelry for him, reveling in such romantic gestures. They had quarreled only once, when he had been accused of living off her, deliberately getting close to Qin Wanwan in her presence. Naturally, she had stormed off in anger. Yet, she loved him so deeply. After a single kiss on a fateful night, she agreed to be with him, even changing her style to mirror that of Qin Wanwan. In truth, that style did not suit her. What remained etched in his memory, what he cherished most, was the image of her in a red dress. At that banquet, though slightly unwell, she radiated vibrancy in her striking red attire, enhancing her complexion remarkably. Her eyes sparkled with a deep, bright allure. When she lay on the sofa, it was as if the sun had descended from the heavens, dimming its fiery glow, yet remaining something he could hold in his hands. Yes, she loved him so dearly. And despite his lingering entanglements with Qin Wanwan, she never held it against him. He claimed that his relationship with Qin Wanwan was merely familial, and she believed him wholeheartedly. He urged her not to cause a scene, and she complied without protest. He asked her to be magnanimous, and she genuinely endeavored to do so. He tested her patience, confident that her love was boundless. Surely, this time would be no different, as long as he offered a soft apology, acknowledging his faults. The sun would shine upon him once more. He arranged for the distraught Qin Wanwan to be sent abroad, seeking every opportunity to see her. Finally, he encountered her in the parking lot. Qian Xiangyao, come out, I have something to say to you. He did not wish to resort to such overt measures, as it lacked dignity. But those around him had long since dissipated with the fall of the Qin family, and his father had been hospitalized from the stress. I sat in the car, reluctant to engage with Qin Xiao outside. A mere spendthrift, indeed. To engage him in conversation is but a waste of my precious time. The security personnel promptly arrived, forcefully dragging him away. Qin Xiao struggled vehemently, summoning an inexplicable strength that enabled him to break free from the grasp of 3 burly men, approaching to pound on my car window. Qian Xiangyao, listen to me. I acknowledge my mistakes. It was all due to Qin Wanan that I erred. I did not contest for any assets during the divorce, so please do not be so heartless. Come back to me. This time, I shall love you properly. The vehicle roared to life, distancing itself from the incessantly chattering Qin Xiao. Love me properly? What a farce. My fate with Qin Xiao had dissipated the moment I first beheld him embracing Qin Wanwan. Everything that followed was merely a tragic entanglement, a cruel twist of fate binding 2 paths that should have remained parallel. I did not allow Qin Xiao a moment's reprieve in my thoughts. We were irrevocably severed. Qin Xiao, in his madness, realized the irrevocability of it all after Qian Xiangyao departed without mercy. He had lost everything. Ejected from the parking lot by security, he stood idly on the street for a long while before erupting into manic laughter. Huh. Qian Xiangyao still loves me. He accosted passers-by, proclaiming, I am Qian Xiangyao's husband. You all must follow me. I am the son-in-law of the Qian family. I am the eldest son of the Qin family. I possess wealth beyond measure. He continued to laugh and shout, wandering from midday until nightfall, reaching the brightly illuminated bridge. Across the bridge, the vibrant lights of the city center reflected upon the water. A dazzling spectacle. There lay all that he had ever desired and once possessed. With a splash, a shadow plunged into the river. Through years of relentless effort, the Qian Group had penetrated global markets, with my father, as chairman, ascending the ranks of the world's wealthiest. At the age of 28, I formally assumed control of my father's enterprise. The assets from my mother's side were also transferred into my name. My younger brother, having ventured out to establish his own business, found himself restless and impatient, ultimately relinquishing his small venture to become my assistant. One afternoon, while attending to business affairs in my office, a small sphere, glowing crimson and no larger than a fingernail, suddenly materialized before me. Host, do you remember me? What is this noise? The sphere twirled in front of me, gradually expanding to the size of a bun. It's me, the system. I have found a way to escape the control of the main system. Thanks to you, host, I never imagined the system could awaken. Host, I have nowhere to go, so I came to find you. I now possessed a greater composure, narrowing my eyes as I scrutinized it for a moment. So now, do you still have to abide by any narrative? Not anymore. I am merely an ordinary little sphere now, unable to read the world lines. But as long as I have a power supply, I can survive. Hee host, I miss you so much. I confirmed once more, so you mean to say, aside from flying, you can do nothing else? No, I can also serve as a nightlight for you, and I can function as a power bank. The system appeared elated, circling around me in joyful glee. I let out a sinister chuckle. In that case, let us calculate the total debts you owe me for the times you shocked me. The system fell silent. I struck it down onto the table with a fist, and upon discovering the satisfying texture, I transitioned to kneading it. You have shocked me 124 times. I have kept track. I sentence you to serve me for 124 years as penance. I, Qian Xiangyao, the eldest daughter of the Qian family, am not one to forgive easily. The system whimpered, woo-woo. The end of the text. Thank you for listening. We shall meet again in the next tale.